to take off.
Please welcome to the stage the president of GBTA, Denise Trousseau.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. We're here again at GBTA's general stage and main session. Who's ready to talk about innovation and the future? Come on, help me out up here, guys. Fantastic, because we've got a lot of food for thought today, and we're here to share with you what's next in our association's evolution. But before we get there, we have a few highlights from our final day of convention tomorrow. We'll kick it off with the expo. We'll be buzzing in its final hours, opening at 9 a.m. with a networking breakfast, made possible by Visit Dallas. The second part will be the Buyers Roundtable Session 2. That starts also at 9 a.m. And don't forget, Tech Safari Live will begin at 10 a.m. All on the expo floor. If you haven't checked out the Sustainability Pavilion yet, you have final hours running from 9 a.m. to noon. So please, don't forget to take time this week to fill out your surveys for the sessions you've attended. Your participation in this week in filling out the surveys helps us for future conventions. And you'll receive a survey convention post-convention for additional feedback of the whole convention altogether. So speaking of the future, it's time to share some results with you. As a member-led organization, the GBTA Board of Directors plays a very important role in the governance and strategy of our association. This year, we have 3 board seats that were up for election. The election progress began back in May when we had candidates submit their applications. Voting took place between July 26th and yesterday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. For the second time in our association's history, both allied and direct members had the ability to not only vote for the candidates, but also for our bylaws. The votes have been counted. Your voices have been heard. So let's start with the bylaws. They passed. So thank you to the 11 candidates that served, put their name out to run for this year's board, and the bylaw task force that helped put the ballots on the bylaws out there. So for the 2 open direct member at large positions, I'd like to welcome to the board of directors for a 2-year term, Barbara Rose, America's Travel, Meeting and Events at Ernst & Young. The second at-large position, Sue Spear, Travel and Fleet Manager. And our allied at-large position goes to Kevin Sullivan, Senior Director of Sales for Southwest Airlines. Again, on behalf of the GBTA Board of Directors, I want to thank all of our members that voted, for the 11 candidates that stepped up to put their names out there. It's not an easy task to do that. For the 10 bylaw committee task force members that worked countless hours in putting this together. We appreciate everyone taking part in this election process, and we look forward to having additional support throughout the year. So thank you.
welcome to the stage the Chief Executive Officer of Joby Aviation, JoeBen Bevert.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolutely pleasure to be here with you today. Let's do one more big round of applause for the GBTA staff and all of the award winners. So I'm going to talk to you this afternoon about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is electric aviation and the profound impact that electric propulsion can have on the way we move around cities, and the potential for hydrogen electric propulsion to change the way we move around the world. And this journey to electric propulsion started in an unlikely place. This is the home where I was born and raised, amongst the redwoods, overlooking the Pacific, north of Santa Cruz. And we were off-grid before being off-grid was cool. And but for me, it was an idyllic childhood. It was something that taught me about the simple things in life, about the magic of being able to hear the wind in the trees, and about hard work, and about building, about creating, but it was also very remote. It was a long trip to school every day. And after school, both my parents worked, and so I'd either go over to friends' houses to play, or I would take the bus 45 minutes up the coast and then walk for 5 miles. And this long walk gave me the opportunity to think and to dream. And what I dreamt about was flying. As I got older, I developed a real passion for engineering and for designing and building. And when I was in college, I had the opportunity to work on vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. These are aircraft that can take off like a helicopter, but then have a wing and can transition and fly very efficiently like an airplane. And I looked at how we could apply electric propulsion to make electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft possible. And this was back in the early 90s. And at that point in time, the batteries that we had didn't have the specific energy that we needed to have a useful range. And so I put my dreams of flight on hold, and I started a robotics company to help scientists understand the molecular basis of disease. And then I started a consumer products company that started to spin off huge amounts of free cash flow. When I sold my robotics company in 2007, and with that free cash flow from my consumer products company, I began asking myself big questions about what impact I wanted to have on the planet, and how do we make the world better. And I began looking at the flow of energy through our society, and that brought me back to my dreams from my childhood of flight, and specifically, how do we move people both across town and around the world. And so it turns out that electric propulsion allows us to think in really creative ways about the way we design and build aircraft. And you can come up with a lot of really unique new aircraft designs. And it turns out that this dream of flight is not a new one. This has been something that we've all been dreaming about for centuries. And the amazing thing, the thing that's really remarkable, is that electric propulsion allows us today to make this dream come true. And this is really profound, because new modes of transportation only come around once, in decades or even centuries. And their impact on our world is really exciting. It's also never been more timely, because more and more of us spend too much time doing what we hate the most, which is sitting in traffic. And based on the results of this survey, I think we should be spending a lot more time doing other things. So let's talk about moving from the confines of gridlock into the third dimension. When I came here on a good day, my drive to the airport would have taken about an hour. I got stuck in traffic. It took me 2 hours. I'm dreaming about the future, which is coming very, very soon, of that flight taking me 10 minutes. So we refined our design until we had an aircraft configuration. This is a subscale that we began flying in 2015, which was really optimized to provide air taxi services. And then we began flying that at full scale in 2017. This is an aircraft with 6 propellers. It can take off vertically like a helicopter. And then when the propellers tilt forward, it flies on a wing, and it flies very, very efficiently. And this is a video that kind of gives you a sense of our company. Today, we're a public company, a team of more than 1,300 people, and we've been working on this problem for more than a decade. Here you see not just all the team members. We're building the propeller blades, we're testing, we're designing, we're manufacturing each and every one of the components on our aircraft. We're a very vertically integrated company, and it's a company of doers. So the thing that's remarkable is that the aircraft we've been able to build with electric propulsion is novel in a bunch of different ways, and it provides the ability, with its vertical takeoff and landing and its forward flight capabilities, to deliver service both across town and in between nearby cities. And so, as you can see, the propellers spin very, very slowly in forward flight, and I'll talk in a moment about the acoustic impact of that. They also, the acoustic profile when we take off and land is really important too, in being able to blend into the background of the communities that we serve. So let's talk about how we got here and the partnerships that made it possible. Toyota led our Series C round in 2018, and their team of manufacturing engineers that are known around the world for the quality and reliability of the products that they produce have been working shoulder to shoulder with our team to scale up the production of these aircraft from the quantities of aircraft that are currently built today closer to the automotive quantities of aircraft. And this is going to be a gradual progression. Today, our manufacturing facility has the ability to produce tens of aircraft per year. We'll scale that to hundreds of aircraft per year and eventually thousands of aircraft per year. We also have a really important partnership, which we just announced expansion of, serving our armed forces. We want this to be not just a service to move our civilians like you around, but also to be able to improve the mobility of our everyone that serves our country. We've been working with NASA for more than a decade, and NASA recently brought their acoustic test lab out to measure the acoustic profile of our aircraft, both in hover and in overflight. We're also very excited about the potential of this technology internationally. So we announced partnerships with ANA in Japan and with the SK Group in South Korea. We think that this new mode of mobility will have really exciting implications for cities, not just here in the US, but around the world. And also with our infrastructure partners, Reef, Related, Macquarie, and Signature, it's part of the key unlock to this technology is having really convenient locations for people to take off and land. We want to be able to take you close to where you want to go. And finally, Uber, who we partnered with to deliver a seamless multimodal experience. And that's whether it's in the Uber app or in the Joby app. It's a seamless one click to get to where you want to go. And all of this is made possible by the Elevate technology platform that sits behind. And this is something that's been in development for 6 years. We bought it 2 years ago from Uber. So it's the entire technology stack for the Rider app, the Pilot app, the Operations app, the Skyport app, and as well as all of the cloud services that sit behind it to deliver that multimodal experience. So here's an illustration of that as we're aggregating riders on a flight from Manhattan to JFK. And we believe that this tool set and these capabilities will deliver a really exciting experience for customers, delightful experience to customers where you click a single button and it delivers the end-to-end journey. Now, you can take a portion of this today in New York on a helicopter, but people perceive helicopters as being high risk, loud, and expensive. And we're excited to deliver a service which is safe, quiet, and sustainable. Sustainability is at the forefront of the conversation today. Aviation is our fastest, safest, and most affordable mode of transportation. I've flown millions of miles in my career. There is no substitute for being face-to-face. But today, flight, the climate consequences of flight are unsustainable. The good news is we have the technology to fix it. We have the technology to build aircraft that are truly sustainable. And we're demonstrating that today with our aircraft, which we just completed a full life cycle analysis of the climate impact with NREL, and have shown that it has the potential to be one of the most sustainable methods of transportation that we have. And so now it's really crucial that we take that technology forward. I also wanted to touch base with you on the acoustics. So again, it's really important that we're able to take our customers close to where they want to go. And to deliver that infrastructure, we need aircraft that are really, really quiet. And again, with electric propulsion, this becomes possible. Our aircraft in hover blends into the background of the communities that we serve. And in overflight, it's absolutely silent. And for the little boy when I was growing up who loved listening to the wind in the trees, I hated to hear the sound of the airplanes. And the exciting thing for me is we've now solved that problem. So with each new mode of transportation, whether that was rail or the car or the airplane, it's brought unprecedented prosperity and improvements of quality of life, connectivity around the world to the people and the places that you love. And there was an Italian physicist named Cesare Marchetti who looked at the impact on cities of new modes of transportation. And with every one, our cities got more and more prosperous. And so I'm very, very excited about what this new mode of transportation can mean for so many people and so many cities. So I'd like to sum this up with our impact and the impact that we hope to have across 3 different dimensions: places, planet, and people. And on places, one of the challenges we have today with the automobile is that we cover, on average, more than 25% of our cities with highways and streets and parking. And I would like to propose a future when we have more paradise and less parking lots. Second, thank you. Second on planet. So, sustainable aviation fuel is a really important first step. It's an opportunity for us to significantly reduce the carbon emissions of aviation. Unfortunately, carbon is, and the CO2 that airplanes emit is only 1/3 of the climate impact that aviation has. When we burn fuel in the upper atmosphere, we also emit NOx and soot and SOx and water vapor, and those other particulates, especially the water vapor, have a really significant negative impact on the environment of our planet. Hydrogen, so when we couple electric propulsion with hydrogen fuel cells, which we call hydrogen electric, it gives us the ability to fly medium and long-haul flights in a true sustainable way. When a long-haul flight takes off today, it's carrying more weight in jet fuel than it's carrying weight in passengers. Hydrogen is 3 times lighter per unit of energy than jet fuel. And hydrogen fuel cells are more efficient than turbines. And what this means is that we're able to build aircraft which carry more passengers and fly further and have 0 environmental consequence. And that's a game changer. So the exciting news is that today we have the technology to make sustainable aircraft. And thanks to all of the customers that you serve and the commitment that they've made to sustainable aviation, that is driving the demand for investments in technologies like these. Just today, American Airlines announced a large investment into ZeroAvia, which is another company developing hydrogen electric aircraft. And so it's a really, really bright future. I'm so thrilled about the rate of progress that we're making on this really, really important issue. And finally, I'd like to touch on the impact on all of you and on people and on our ability to connect with the ones we love. And spending time with the people we cherish is really the greatest thing that we can provide. And so by saving you time and connecting you with the people and places you love, we hope to make the world a better place. So our mission is to help the world connect faster and more easily with the people and places that matter most. Thank you so much.
Please welcome the president of Concur Travel at SAP Concur, Charlie Sultan.
Good afternoon. That's some pretty cool stuff. It's great to see a room full of travel professionals who actually got to travel somewhere. That's actually pretty cool. As an added bonus for me, I get to be here on stage before a panel of experts takes the stage, and they're all Concur travel users. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. So yes, we're here in person with a renewed enthusiasm for our industry, but also with some pretty heavy baggage. Travelers have specific and relevant demands for safety and flexibility. Our stakeholders are worried about rising costs and shrinking staff sizes. And it seems like they're looking at all of us to lead. So if you're stressed out, you're not alone. We did a recent survey of 700 travel managers, And they all said, 100% of them said that they expect their job to be more challenging this year. I couldn't get 100% of you to agree to free ice cream, and yet we can all agree on how difficult this coming year is going to be. So how do we hoist up that baggage and lead? Well, that same survey that we did highlighted two key things for us: flexibility and efficiency. So what does that mean for us? Well, for us, it reinforces that our solutions need to be flexible. They need to work with more than just one TMC or more than just one GDS. We need to be able to harness the power of collective solutions across the entire partner network. Customers are telling us that they want options. They want flexibility. They want to be able to choose. They want to choose their TMC, maybe their GDS. They want to choose their sources of content. They want to choose whether their travelers can just use a booking tool or maybe a fully integrated supplier website using our tripling product. So we choose to integrate with multiple partners across multiple markets to enable solutions for you. It is clear to us that dynamic and growing companies need flexibility. They need room to innovate, and they don't want to get pigeonholed into a single solution. And how do we improve your efficiency? Well, we do that by connecting into the world's leading expense management system in Concur Expense. We connect into invoice systems, HR systems, and across a wide variety of partners, again, to make things more efficient, not just for the traveler or for you, the travel manager, but for the accounts payable group, for finance, for HR, for other people down the line. So we're also working on continuously delivering a more robust, more functional, more content-rich user experience. And look, it's not an end product. We're working on it. We're continuing to improve. We're all going through this evolution of travel, and it's no different at SAP Concur. We continue to work on our own improvements. If I can actually make a pitch for you tomorrow when the expo's open again, stop by our booth. Come look to see what's coming soon to push you forward in terms of productivity, efficiency, sustainability. And yes, we have to mention sustainability. It's becoming more and more apparent that eco-friendly travel is a big deal, and in some cases, even a deal breaker. We need to all continue to push each other to deliver and enable smart, sustainable solutions and figure out how to reduce or maybe even eliminate our emissions. So look, those are really big challenges, but I'm convinced that the people in this room can handle it. Take advantage of your time here. You're surrounded by brilliant people who are facing a lot of the same issues that you are. Connect with them, talk to them, figure out what they're working on, what they've tried. Question the assumptions that you made in the past and try to figure out how to reimagine your programs. Stop by our booth and see how we're recreating ourselves. Make the most of your time here. I want to make sure that when you get home, you have a plan for how you can help to improve the lives of your customers, your travelers, and hopefully your business as well. So on behalf of SAP Concur, thank you so much for your attention. Thanks for being here tonight, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
I think that one of the best things is coming together and meeting everyone and being able to meet clients and talk to people again and hear what people want.
Making the connections.
Yeah,
because,
that's what we
you know,
did. We saw the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. Sent was phenomenal. Like maybe the best keynote I've ever seen.
I've never seen anything better.
No.
The speakers have just brought the motivation level up. Like, oh my God.
That's what GBTA is for me. It's those experiences.
I've really learned a lot. I've already sent notes back to my boss talking about all kinds of great stuff to make changes.
We've had lots of people here, lots of enthusiasm, lots of energy. I think people are back.
Please welcome the moderator for today's panel, partner at McKinsey & Company, Jillian Tellez Holub.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, GBTA, for having me. I want to share some of our research on the recovery of business travel. But what I'm really excited to do is hear from the front line, our wonderful panelists that are joining us today, the leaders responsible for business travel in their organizations. So please join me in welcoming Lee Palmer Turner from MGM, Beth Sullivan from Bank of America, and Carlos Almendros from Cisco. welcome.
Thank
Hi, thank you.
So before I get into questions for the panel, I want to briefly set the stage. So everybody here knows that the pandemic led to a rapid drop in business travel. The pandemic fundamentally changed how we live and how we work. Now, we do expect business travel to make a full recovery. Maybe in 2024, in the optimistic case, maybe a year or two later after that, if we have a recession. But what's really interesting to me is the composition of those bars. So we've already seen, and we expect to continue to see, that the underlying mix that makes up those bars is changing. So the sectors, the trip types, the travelers, the companies that are traveling. And if you look across industries, for example, the pace of recovery differs quite significantly based on the industry. So if you look at production, professional services, transportation, those are the industries that we really expect to fuel the recovery. And on the other hand, other industries like retail will lag. So that's more macro view. I want to hear from our panelists. I want to hear the more micro view, what you guys are seeing in your organizations. So Lee, I'll start with you. How have you seen MGM's travel recover so far, and how might that evolve in the coming years?
So MGM Studios and the entertainment industry in general are definitely back and traveling for business.
Yes.
As evidenced by the release of some Oscar-worthy blockbuster movies in 2021, including House of Gucci, Licorice Pizza, and the James Bond thrill ride, No Time to Die, as well as this year's blockbusters, Spider-Man No Way Home and Top Gun Maverick.
Those are good ones.
I think it's safe to say that the future of the entertainment industry, to borrow a line from a song, is so bright, I gotta wear shades.
I love that.
But we're not resting on our laurels. We've got a new parent company in Amazon, and if there's one thing that the pandemic taught us, it's that we have to rethink how we're going to travel. And to do that, it's quite possible that we're going to have to travel less, but expect more success from those trips.
I like that, smarter travel. So Carlos, what are you seeing at Cisco?
Yeah, I think at this moment in time, traveling is below pre-pandemic levels. And I think we have to look at, what's happened over the last 2 years. And if you think of, how we've, leveraged and utilized the technology, we've been able to collaborate, we've been able to be more inclusive. So, hybrid meetings, is actually a good thing. That's enabled us to be flexible, meet with people. Over the last several months, Cisco has started to see an increase in travel. I don't get a clap there, no?
I'll clap for that.
Thank you. But the reality is, we are a technology organization. We've now entered into a new environment. So we'll see the travel continue to increase, but we're a long way away from those volumes and those numbers of pre-pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually hit on this next piece. So obviously the policies that companies are setting is a key kind of factor that impacts the pace of recovery. And so we recently did a survey and found that nearly 60% of American workers were eligible for partial or full remote work. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to stay at home. That doesn't mean that nobody's going to get on a plane. But it is interesting that such a significant percentage of the population has that option. And if you look at the different policies that we're seeing from different companies, there's really the full spectrum. So everything from a mandated return to the office, which we're seeing with some financial services firms, all the way to completely virtual, which we're seeing some professional services firm permanently shut down their offices. And then there's everything in between. So companies that are putting in place policies related to who can work remotely, companies that are putting in place policies related to how often their employees can work remotely. I'd love to hear from you, Beth. What are you seeing in terms of Bank of America's policies, and what impact do you think that will have not only on travel, but also on employee engagement and productivity?
Yep.
So at Bank of America, we are an in-office company and culture. We feel that we are better together when we're connected in the office, and I do think that helps facilitate the need for travel. We've got employees back in the office. They want to see their leaders. The leaders, they want to see their teams. They haven't been out in their markets for a couple of years. And our sales team that wants to see their clients. And so I think that being back in the office has helped facilitate our return to travel. And certainly, like Carlos, we have not returned to pre-pandemic levels. We are far from that, and we're okay with that from an expense perspective, for sure. But it's one of those things where I do believe our in-office culture helps us to foster that collaboration and togetherness, and really promote team building.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carlos, what about you? What are you seeing related to policies?
Yeah, I think we've all seen that we've had to adjust our policies throughout the last 18 months. We've had to be more agile, more nimble, had the technology to do that. So at Cisco, we have continued to use the appropriate workflows to align with the opening of travel. And as Beth said, getting people together internally, that culture, which is really important to all of us. In this time during the conference, I think we've heard a lot about retention and, keeping, your best people. They are our assets at the end of the day. So I think we've been able to adjust that to align with how we're returning to travel. And then around the hybrid side of it, we're adjusting, how people work, whether it's on-site, whether it's, from location to location, or whether it's traveling. So we've started to look at how that, and I think it's going to continue to evolve. It's not something we all have the answers for. This is a new environment. I think we're collaborating with a lot of our peers, but we all have the end goal. The end goal is to maintain, to be successful, and to keep that balance. Smarter travel, I think I heard you say, purposeful travel. We've all heard those phrases over the last 18 months, and I think that's what we've done is over the last 18 months, we've realized that we can do a lot by not traveling, but we also appreciate, and I think our roles are really educating our executives and our stakeholders, the value that business travel brings. We've seen that here at this conference, how everyone, I think is smiling, everyone's just really connecting, and it's pleasing to see. But let's do it in a smarter way, let's do it more purposeful. And I won't touch on sustainability right now. I think Beth's going to touch on that, but I think we all know how critical that is through the whole of the conference. We've got to be smarter. We've got to protect this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you could get the energy that you get in this room through a computer screen, right?
Absolutely.
So obviously technology is a critical enabler for any of these remote working models, hybrid working models, and of course for business travel. So we asked corporate travel managers, what are you looking for in terms of technology? As you look ahead to the coming years, what do you need? And there are a few interesting themes that came out here. So the number one thing on this that came out was sustainability, data, and reporting. That is top of mind for so many. I think another theme that we saw was related to traveler experience. So how can we personalize the traveler experience? How can we use technology to kind of streamline the end-to-end experience? And then the last theme that I'll hit on is really about collaboration. We all talked about that. How can you facilitate easy collaboration when perhaps you're not all in the same room, or you're meeting with suppliers or customers that you can't actually see in person? So I think technology is something that lots are looking for that specifically from. So would love to hear from you guys. How are your technology needs evolving? And maybe Beth, I know sustainability is near and dear to your heart, so maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in the past, for years, we've been reporting on our carbon emissions, whether it's, scope 1, scope 3, whatever it is. And I think that what has changed is that we want more real-time reporting, right? We want it kind of in our faces, consistently bringing that back to the traveler and reminding them that there are smarter, better ways to travel. And part of that is through tech, and it is really through technology that we're going to be able to do that and put it in front of them so that they're making smarter choices. I also think that through COVID, our businesses specifically were very used to getting daily reporting on what their travelers were doing. It was a way we were controlling travel and not allowing the majority of people to travel, and they got used to it. And I think we need some automated real-time reporting to continue that. We've been doing it manually, but really going forward, I think we're going to have the need to provide that real-time travel data to all of our businesses, not just to our travel team, but to our businesses, so that they have insight more frequently than what we have traditionally been providing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing a lot of that from my clients, not only getting the insight, but finding ways to act on the insight. So, Lee, how are you thinking about this?
So for us, we as travel managers serve two masters, our companies that we work for and our travelers. And so for me, my focus is on finding technological advances that enhance the traveler experience. As evidenced by all the people that are in attendance here this week and some of the great companies, there's lots of technology around reporting and improving meetings and the online booking experience, but it's the traveler. Without the traveler, there's none of that. Yeah. And so to me, it's important to embrace technology that provides an easier solution for the challenges that our travelers face from the beginning of their travel experience to their return home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we won't get people back on the road if it's a painful experience, right? So anything that can be done to facilitate that and make it easier, make it more seamless.
Absolutely.
Great. So, I'd love to hear more from our panelists. I know we're running a little bit short on time, but maybe what I'd like to do is kind of get quick closing thoughts from everyone, and I'll share mine first, give you guys a second to think. The biggest thing I'm taking away from this conversation is we've seen a lot of innovation in terms of working models. You all hit on that over the course of our discussion. But what I think I'm also hearing is a need for continued innovation going forward to enable our workers, enable the employees to be effective, to be connected, and to be productive, whether they're on the road or whether they're working from the comfort of their own home. So definitely, opportunities there. And maybe, start on this side and work my way around in terms of closing thoughts.
Yeah, so I've touched on it a few times. Hybrid work is really driving a lot of changes in this new environment. I've mentioned how people are really truly our assets. So I think, as things evolve, we have to continue to look at how do we bring these two things together? How do we balance the hybrid environment, the hybrid policies, the travel policies? And I think it's a huge opportunity for us to really, partner much closer with our, HR folks, our key stakeholders in, again, what we're all trying to drive for is motivation, well-being, staff retention. I think, travel more than ever now is in a perfect opportunity to really kind of blend itself much more integrated into that kind of thinking. So that would be my thoughts at this point, is how do we bring ourselves into, our roles have changed. I mean, there's no question. I think that's it's bringing more challenges, which is, I think, what motivates us. It's what drives us to stay in the industry and not get out.
Yeah, more challenges, more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Beth.
I think one of the speakers yesterday said it best, where we're constantly trying to compare what was BAU before the pandemic, and are we back to that? And it will never get back to that, right? I mean, what was before is not going to be what is to come, and I think that we all have the opportunity to redefine what our roles are. And I continue to say more and more, a big part of my job has started to become, about sustainability, and it can almost be a full-time job in and of itself. And now's the time for us to help drive where we want our companies to go, how we want our departments to work with our businesses and our travelers, and really create these roles for ourselves, for our teams, that are really getting us at putting us at the forefront of these emerging issues like sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, last but not least.
So the pandemic has taught us a lot. And if there's one thing it's taught us, it's evidenced by this conference and all the people here, it's that there's no replacement for human interaction. Yeah. And so, we do have to better prepare for the next big challenge and make sure that we're able to continue to foster that human interaction regardless of the challenges of pandemics or whatever else is put in front of us. And I think that we might just have figured that out. And I hope that we're on a good path to making that a reality in the future.
Yeah, a silver lining of the pandemic for sure.
Absolutely.
Great. So with that, we will wrap up this panel. I want to thank you again to our wonderful panelists for sharing your perspectives. I learned a lot. I loved hearing from all of you. And to the audience, please stick around. There's a very special moment that I hear is just ahead.
Please remain seated. The next evolution of GBTA is about to begin.
A brand is the unifying idea that drives decision-making within an organization. It aligns strengths with market opportunity. To be effective and usable, brands must be simple, clear, and focused. Most people think of a brand as just a logo and a tagline, but it's so much more. It's about vision, purpose, customer experience, people, and value creation. It's also the story of why that company or organization exists. In the past 9 months, we at GBTA have been thinking about who we are, our brand, our promise to you, and how in a world where everything is now different, we too need to evolve to deliver full value to our members and to the global business travel community. The time is right for transformation. So we looked at where we were and where we need to be as an association to serve you. This includes rebuilding a foundation of trust, expanding awareness of what we offer beyond convention, connecting the brand closer to our global purpose, and identifying our unique value and why this industry and our members rely on us. So with the help of an expert external firm, we conducted a formal discovery process with staff, board, volunteers, sponsors, and members, some even new to GBTA. We listened to the many voices across our industry, and we learned.
Business travel. Its convention is the Super Bowl of the industry.
We value the connections we find with peers and partners through GBTA.
Education is key. GBTA needs to provide it in many ways and for a global base.
Transparency has been an issue. What GBTA says and does has not always been consistent.
They have amazing people and the luxury of having an amazing number of volunteers. The association is only as good as the volunteers they have.
If everyone's doing advocacy on their own, it's like throwing pebbles at tanks.
GBTA has a unique position because of its global nature to bring people together, to aggregate funding, and to have a united voice. That's the thing they can do that no one else can.
And those many voices brought us to where we are today. Welcome to the new GBTA. Many voices, one purpose. It's our pleasure to unveil to all of you here today the new brand, the new look, and the evolution of GBTA. You are who got us here, and you are at the heart of where we'll go next together. Engaging your many voices, we will bring the global travel industry together so our members can learn from and inspire one another, develop as businesses and as individuals, represent our common interests, and collectively move this industry forward. The foundational pillars of GBTA remain steadfast: community, learning, and advocacy, but we're imagining them in a new focus for the future. A new brand, a new look, and a logo for GBTA aren't the end of the journey. They're just the beginning. And most importantly, it's a journey we are on with you, our members. So you'll see us bring the GBTA brand to life in new ways, with a commitment to rebuild and nurture your trust, a commitment to global purpose, and a commitment to refocus on our members. So, to celebrate our member-focused journey, we're announcing today that GBTA will be giving out 500 free memberships, which recipients will be able to use themselves or pay it forward as a nomination for someone else who may not otherwise be able to join. You'll be able to submit nominations beginning in September, so watch for more details to come on our newly rebranded GBTA website. So today we'll leave you with how the world will find out about our new brand at gbta.org.
We believe business travel is a fundamental force for good. Meeting face-to-face deepens relationships, fosters collaboration, and develops culture in ways that technology alone can never truly replicate. It drives progress for businesses, governments, economies, and people. As the barriers and challenges facing business travel evolve and change, we must continue to innovate and set new standards as an industry, bringing many perspectives together under one roof. GBTA is the platform for all sides to come together to tackle how travel can adapt to and drive dynamic transformations in the workplace through community, learning, and advocacy. We are GBTA, the Global Business Travel Association. Many voices, one purpose.
We are so excited about this next era in GBTA, and we hope you are too. We want to thank all of our members, the staff, the volunteers in our industry for this great new start. And for the tremendous convention we still have going on, let's keep it moving forward. I look forward to seeing everyone tonight around town, tomorrow morning on the expo floor. And in the coming months, let's not forget about our global upcoming conferences: Brussels, Bangkok, Mexico City, and Canada. And we look forward to seeing you next year in Dallas for our convention 2023.
All right, all right, all right.
Thanks, everyone.